We are back again with more news. I think this is updated. I say that every time, and I do it, and I forget to do it. Something's going on up here. It might be edited correctly. We've got some pretty big news, lots of big news, some smaller news stories, mostly big news, especially with Xbox. So we'll get to Xbox later. Starting with an update on Nintendo versus Palworld. Guess what? Nintendo loses. Let's go, Andy Robinson, VGC. Who'd have thunk that a Nintendo would lose? Palworld lawsuit nears its end, with Nintendo reportedly poised to gain almost nothing. Hell yeah. Nintendo and the Pokemon Company filed its lawsuit against Pocket Pair in Japan in 2024, alleging that Palworld infringed on 3 patents related to monster catching gameplay, all of which were initially filed by Nintendo and the Pokemon Company after the initial release. We did talk about this a bunch of times, where they were trying to patent mechanics in the game after the game was released. Trying to be a little sneaky there. That Nintendo. Initially, Nintendo and TPC called for an injunction against Palworld that would block its release. Let's go up to the update. Because Nintendo and TPC amended the scope of their claims so that the case is limited to older versions of Palworld, before Pocket Pair made changes restricted to sales only in Japan, they are in line for limited damages or nothing at all. Even if, which is far from given, Nintendo overcame all of the usual hurdles, defending its patents against Pocket Pair's invalidity contentions, proving infringement, and ultimately proving that any damage was caused by the alleged infringement, the most it could get is 5 million yen, which is the equivalent of $30,000. Wow. This litigation is no longer about anything serious in commercial terms. It's about a hypothetical injunction that doesn't apply to current product versions and, if anything, a small damages award for a period during which Pocket Pair generated limited new sales in Japan. To put the potential $30K settlement into context, Nintendo's most recent annual report stated that it had made a $4 million loss from patent litigation in its last business year. That's crazy. Spending $40 million in litigation, and they won $30K. Or potentially might win $30K from this one. So GG's, Pocket Pair. Let's go, 1.0 coming out. Everyone be fucking ready, be hyped. Next up, let's talk about the UK. They're doing some things. This is Chris Scully, VGC. UK government banning socials for minors. UK government announces ban on social media for under 16s, including YouTube and possibly Twitch. Wow. Quote, the Prime Minister saying, we're going further than any country in the world. Wow. They're really cracking down on these things. What things are they? I don't know. The government will attempt to pass the regulation before Christmas, according to Prime Minister Keir Starmer, with the ban then set to come in place by spring 2027. Whew. When it does, all children aged under 16 will be banned from social media platforms, including Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. While a list of specific banned platforms will be decided by ministers at a later date, the government has stated that it will also be blocking sites with live streaming capabilities and specifically mentioned gaming sites, suggesting Twitch may also see a ban. And a move to protect children online and address the scale of the challenge, the government will also go further than a blanket ban on social media with world-leading blocks or harmful functions such as live streaming and stranger communication with children for under 16s. These restrictions, which together with the ban go further than any other country, will apply to a wider range of online services, including on gaming sites. Government's also considering curfews? Where'd it go? Or breaks in infinite scrolling for under 18s, with more detail on this said to be coming in July. Wow. How do they plan on enforcing this? Because if it's just like an age verification thing, you could just lie. So I'm curious on how they expect to enforce this. I don't think this is going to be real. That's such a blanket ban. That's wild. I guess we'll see what happens. Next up, let's talk about Don't Nod. Andy Robinson, VGC. Life is Strange creators Don't Nod warned they face running out of money. Don't Nod sold a minority stake of the company to Tencent in 2020, which granted the conglomerate a seat on its board. It appears that the studio's recent titles haven't had the commercial success it needed, since in a note from its auditors published this month, it claimed that the studio will run out of money in November unless it finds additional funding. Tencent does not intend to inject more money into the business in the short term, nor fund the games it currently has in development. Company's management has informed us that according to its cash flow projections, without additional financing and taking into account, among other things, revenue assumptions related to the release of a new game in late April 2026 and cost savings that are not yet fully effective, the company is expected to run out of cash during the month of November 2026. Dang. I'm not... Well, I'm curious why Tencent even... Or why they sold stake to... Why did they sell stake? Oh, I guess they were probably strapped for cash at that time, too. Because I feel like this isn't a studio that Tencent specifically would be like, yeah, we're definitely like make a lot of money off of this. I feel like they've got other big hitters to worry about. I don't know. But it's unfortunate. Hopefully somebody they find a buyer or something that can help them out, because Life is Strange is a huge success in general. But I think their newer games didn't pan out too well. Next up, let's talk about UE6 and their love for AI. And you're Robinson VGC again. Epic reveals Unreal Engine 6 is integrating AI models so developers can, quote, reduce tedious work. What does that mean? First announced alongside a glimpse of the next-gen Rocket League, UE6 is about evolving how developers ship and operate games more so than how they build them. Our approach with UE6 is shaping up quite differently from how we developed UE5 and 4. Over the next 2 years, we'll be unifying the two major streams of Unreal Engine development, UE5 and Unreal Editor for Fortnite, into a single project, UE6. UE6 will keep doing the things you want Unreal Engine to do. Rendering will keep getting better, cook times will come down, iteration loops will get tighter, mobile is increasingly capable, but UE6 exists distinctly from an incremental UE5 development path because three things about game development need to change at the same time. Three big features are its shift to the gameplay programming model verse, its move to make content and code portable and interoperable. I don't know words. Across games, and its integration of AI models, according to Epic. UE6 will introduce integrations with AI models such as Claude, Gemini, and others, which will act as, quote, creativity and productivity multipliers, enabling teams to focus their efforts on the essential creative and technical tasks of development rather than time consuming manual tasks. Creativity and productivity multipliers. What's a creativity multiplier? What does that mean? Anyone know? I don't know. They want to greatly reduce the tedious work in authoring content to leave more time for creative exploration and increase the amount of iterations a team can make to polish their content. Ship with tools, workflows where you can choose to bring your own favorite models, battle tested against internal developed and in UE Fortnite. UEFN, I think that's what it is. This sounds kind of gross. I'm curious to see how many like developers start using this. Hopefully it's not too many, and if they do, hopefully they don't use the AI stuff, which I don't know if we're gonna get away from at this point. Talking about AI, you know who loves AI? Sony and PlayStation, apparently. This is Victoria Phillips Kennedy, Eurogamer. Sony removes mention of PC from PlayStation's annual business report, but has plenty to say about AI. Oh, Gris. Sony plans to use AI to, quote, unleash the creativity of studios and further enhance the PlayStation experience. I wonder where we've heard something like that before. Creativity and productivity multipliers. Improve productivity through high-power tools. Unleash the creativity of studios and further enhance the PlayStation experience. Interesting. Sounds very similar. They also have plans to leverage AI in the PlayStation Store to route transactions more efficiently and to personalize and recommend content for each individual user. Sony also aims to push visual fidelity towards forward and deliver higher quality gameplay experiences through continued investments in AI and machine learning. But while this AI chatter is for 2026, there is something missing that was there last year. In 2025, Sony's report had a line which said the company was going to continue its efforts to deploy its first-party titles to multiple platforms, such as PC. But we all know at this point that they pulled back on that and they've said no more PC releases for PlayStation titles, which is, yes, in fact, double gross. I don't know what AI will make the store more efficient when it's really just like search for game in store, click game, buy game. How do more efficient with that? It's like 4 clicks. I don't is it gonna like predict the game that you want to play ahead of time or want to buy ahead of time? I don't get it. I don't get it. It's so dumb. All right, moving on. Let's talk about Lunar Abyss. This is Fran Ruiz, Eurogamer. Koali lays off the entire Lunar Abyss development team as one of this year's overlooked bullet hell games falls victim to an overcrowded release schedule. Womp womp. May was a remarkably busy month for high-profile game releases, which could explain why Lunar Abyss's launch went relatively unnoticed on PC and current-gen consoles. What? Let me open Steam real fast. It's a sci-fi bullet hell shooter that seemed to review pretty well, but despite that, the entire development team at Koali Labs has been laid off. The CEO said on LinkedIn that the entire team has been made redundant following a decision that was completely outside of their control. We're enamored by the love and support Lunar Abyss received both by our industry and critically by journalists and media. Whilst we faced many challenges along the way, it has been the highlight of our careers, and we are incredibly proud that it has finally seen the light of day. Thank you to everyone who believed in us. Unfortunately, as of yesterday, the entire team has been made redundant, a decision that was completely out of our control. As a result, the entire team are available for work as of today. Wow. It's reviewing well on Steam and by critics. So like at this point, it's just like when it was released. There's just no certainty in this industry at all. Like at all. It's basically luck at this point. All right, let's go through the small news, and then we'll circle back to all the Xbox stuff. We'll end with all the Xbox things. All right, starting off with a couple small news items. And you're up in VGC. They are going to be taking out microtransactions from Dragon's Dogma 2. I did not know that there was microtransactions in Dragon's Dogma 2. Interesting. Why would they do that? Capcom is removing Deluxe Edition and microtransactions from sale. From Thursday, June 25th, the Deluxe Edition and various content packs will no longer be available for purchase on consoles and PC. The base game will also receive a permanent discount. The removals are due to the development of additional content and various adjustments for the upcoming title update. Deluxe Edition removed. Journey Pack, lore items, gifts, Rift Crystals. They're removing all the Rift Crystals. Okay. The content listed above can still be used if previously obtained. Capcom said 2 packs will remain available for purchase: Explorer's Campaign gear and the music and sound collection. Interesting. Why would they have microtransactions in this game? Why is there live service in Dragon's Dogma? Hey, it's good that they're taking it away at least, and it's gonna get a discount. So that's cool. A lot of people did like this game, and it did look pretty cool. I did watch some gameplay of it, which wasn't bad. But that's cool. I like that. Take that shit out of there. Next up, Mark Gordon is leaving Treyarch. I don't think this has anything to do with the Xbox stuff, from what I remember. Might be totally separate, but who knows. Chris calling VGC. Treyarch studio head Mark Gordon steps down after 22 years at the Call of Duty developer. Gordon joined Treyarch, where he was a technology director on GameCube and PS2 title Ultimate Spider-Man, as well as a senior director of technology on the multiplayer mode of Call of Duty 2 Big Red 1. I remember that game on PS2 and Xbox. Continued to work on the Call of Duty series for the 2 decades that would follow, and became co-studio head in 2016 along Jason Blundell and Dan Bunting, who left 2020 and 2021 respectively. His last in-game credit to date was studio head on last year's Call of Duty Black Ops 7. People didn't like that one. It's going to be replaced by Treyarch COO Kevin Hendrickson, director of production Yael Miller. Oh, by 2 people? Interesting. Posted by Treyarch is a thank you to Mark. So yeah, again, nothing referencing the Xbox stuff. So curious to see if actually behind the scenes it is. Next up, hey, MSI is releasing a handheld gaming device. Guess how much money it's gonna be? It's gonna be $1,800. $1,800 American dollars. That's $1,800. Chris calling VGC. MSI prices its latest handheld at $1,800. As exec says, it will be a tough year for us and the gamers. Hey, thanks. The MSI Claw 8 EXAI Plus, love that name, was announced last month, and early estimates suggested the handheld would likely be priced around $1,500. The handheld is now being listed on MSI's official store. However, the price is $17.99. For this, the user gets an Intel Arc G3 Extreme CPU, Intel Arc B390 graphics, 32 gigs of DDR5, 8-inch screen, and a terabyte of SSD storage. That's a good amount of storage, at least. Product marketing lead Andy Chu said the company tried its best to make the handheld as affordable as possible, but noted that the component cost made this difficult. All I can say is we have tried every approach to get the memory and also storage at a lower cost. Like deepen the relationship between us and those suppliers to have some deals. And I think we have done everything we can do to make our system as affordable as possible. This is not what you're saying it is. But unfortunately, I think the situation, the result is what you see right there. So I would say, yes, it will be a tough year for us and the gamer. Why release it then? Why make it? If you know it's not going to be affordable, why even make it? I don't understand the thinking here. Oh man, this is brutal. This is brutal. It's not in the list of stories, but there's also that article about the PlayStation branded, not branded, but the PlayStation official 8 terabyte SSD that's like $3,000. But for that, you could just buy like 4 PS5 Pros and take out the sticks and then you just swap out the memory as you need it. It's crazy. And it still would be cheaper. Next up, the Epic Game Store is getting an update to make it really good. Or so they say. Chris Conley VGC, the Epic Games launcher is getting a ground up rebuild, which will make it boot 5 times faster. It does boot very fucking slow. In a slideshow images taken by Twitter user Luca on Indeed, and shared on Reddit, Epic split its priorities into 3 timeframes. The most imminent changes including storefront re-architecture and a private beta of an Epic Games Launcher version 2. Move on to a public release of the Epic Games Launcher V2, as well as improving the Epic Games Store's design and UX, including the addition of player profiles and avatars, user-written reviews, and improvements to search. User-written reviews, interesting. I didn't realize they didn't have that. Or I guess they're revamping it, hopefully. I would assume they have that. Tasks planned for further in the future include a multi-platform store, potentially referring to the presence of an Epic Games Store on Xbox's Project Helix, as well as a universal controller support and storefront design. There's no way they're going to be able to compete with Steam. Great business decisions. Love it. Next up, let's talk about Vampire Survivors and Fortnite and AI. This is Victoria Phillips Kennedy again, Eurogamer. Vampire Survivors studio Poncle is reviewing its Fortnite collaboration after the State of Unreal show and Epic's focus on generative AI. Poncle made the declaration. Wait, where's it? During this Unreal Fest, blah blah blah. A mere matter of hours later, Vampire Survivors developer Poncle said it was reviewing its Fortnite collaboration due to Epic's use of generative AI. Made the declaration in response to a Reddit post discussing the collaboration. Following today's news about Gen AI usage by Epic to create all sorts of game assets, including Fortnite characters, we're currently reviewing our collaboration with Fortnite. We'll let you know if anything moves forward. They didn't specify which news it was referring to, but during last night's presentation, which was a couple nights ago, yeah, Vampire Survivors was announced. But it seems that the Poncle studio doesn't like AI, generative AI at least, and they're hopefully gonna pull out of that collaboration because that'd be so sick. That would be sick if they did that. Hell yeah. And we'll hit the chat pick because there's one of them, and then we'll also do a DevDub we'll do DevDub Blast because it's all shit news. Tom's Guide, Anthony Spadafora. If you're using Wallpaper Engine, there are some web-based wallpapers that if you download that might have malware on them. I believe there's a setting in Steam that you can check or uncheck to download only the safe ones. I forget which ones they were. It's like basically don't download any ones from the web. Any web-based wallpapers are the bad ones. So be very careful with your wallpaper engine. I know a lot of people will be using that, so be very careful with it. All right, now on to Xbox. Christ. This is going to be a doozy. Let's start at the top. Andy Robinson, VGC. Xbox reportedly giving green light to fast-track new Fallout as Microsoft considers spinning off businesses. This was as of the 13th, so this was a few days ago before even the bigger news broke. So according to reliable information which claims that Microsoft hasn't ruled out spinning out or restructuring its gaming division as a wholly owned subsidiary or creating a joint venture with other partners, Xbox continues its, quote, reset under Asha Sharma. Making Xbox a subsidiary would, in theory, allow it to be more autonomous from its parent company, set its own budgets and strategies, and potentially make it easier to sell off in the future. Sell off is crazy. Microsoft doesn't have any imminent restructuring plans, but those options are on the table. Nadella and Hood haven't ruled out restructuring Xbox's relationship to Microsoft at some point in the future, if doing so would make Xbox a more successful business. It claimed that Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella and Chief Financial Officer Amy Hood have approved of Sharma's plans to spend more on top-tier games in this coming fiscal year beginning in July. That's next month. That's actually a couple weeks. In particular, it claimed that Xbox will move faster on developing new games in its biggest franchises, including Halo, Fallout, and The Elder Scrolls. With Sharma reportedly keen on the latter too. Another Elder Scrolls is already in the works, so interesting. Bethesda hasn't put out any new mainline Fallout or Elder Scrolls games in over a decade, which is likely a frustration to its parent company, especially considering the popularity of the Fallout Amazon show. Yes, we talked about this before. Fallout Amazon show gets released, and there is no Fallout game at all to go along with it, which is just an insane proposition. Yes, the Fallout 76 is happening, and they're putting out updates, but to not have just like, even like, because you see The Witcher putting out even an expansion in Fallout 4 that maybe ties in or go visit some of the places in the show. Like, have something. What a missed opportunity there. Last week they said Elder Scrolls looks amazing. Cool. 8 years since we've seen it. Moving forward, after that, or this was actually I think slightly before, right? No, this is right after. Andy Robinson, VGC, Xbox Game Studio boss Craig Duncan is leaving the company just 18 months after taking the role. Crazy. Former Rare Studio head took on the job, which saw him oversee all of its first-party studios in November 2024. However, as per the game business, he will leave Microsoft this week, and studios will reportedly report directly to Xbox Chief Content Officer Matt Booty until a replacement is found. This comes ahead of expected significant layoffs across Xbox amid comments from Asha Sharma and Microsoft boss Satya Nadella that the gaming division isn't profitable enough. He set he talked his like thank yous and was like the career stuff, yada yada yada. But let's talk about those statements and everything. Chris Scully in VGC. Xbox is reportedly shutting down South of Midnight studio Compulsion Games. This is the first domino. The studio, which was founded in 2009, acquired by Xbox in 2018, most recently developed South of Midnight. According to Kotaku, however, the studio is set to be shut down as part of widespread layoffs in the gaming division. This is crazy stuff. This game did so good. A couple updates here. The first update, Compulsion's leadership is in negotiations with Microsoft over the company's future, which is the similar story to some of these other studios we're going to be talking about. Negotiations are unknown. This is as of like later that evening. And then even later, they talk about other studios, which we will talk about in another story. The publication notes that 2 months ago, Compulsion's talent lead, Joe Palin, was advertising on LinkedIn for programmers for a fascinating, intriguing brand new IP, the fate of which is no longer certain. It's probably not happening if no one swoops in and buys. An email to employees last week, which was later published on the official Xbox Wire blog, Sharma wrote that the Xbox business has declined to a 3% accountability margin, which is the metric Microsoft uses to track its profit margin, which is how much extra they make, basically. Compulsion Games released Contrast in 2013. We Happy Few, 2 months before the release of We Happy Few, Xbox announced that Compulsion was one of 5 studios it had acquired, along with Undead Labs, Playground Games, Ninja Theory, and The Initiative. Initiative was closed down in 2025 as part of another round of layoffs. I don't think did they even release anything? I don't know. I don't remember. But South of Midnight was released last year to generally favorable critic reception. Game was then ported to PS5 and PS2, Switch 2 on March 2026 as part of Xbox's continued efforts to release some of its previous console exclusives on multiple platforms. It won awards. South of Midnight attracted more than 1 million players in its first 3 weeks. It did pretty good. It looks cool. It's on our list of things to play. That list just keeps getting bigger, but it is on the list. Next, let's talk about those other studios. Andy Robinson, VGC. A lot happened in like those 2 days. Xbox Studios Compulsion, Double Fine, and Ninja Theory facing closures as well. According to Bloomberg, first reported the news and corroborated by VGC's own sources, who indicated that Compulsion Games' Double Fine Ninja Theory are among those in active negotiations to spin off from Xbox as of 4 days ago. They're said to be at risk of being shuttered, but have the opportunity to buy themselves back from Microsoft and go independent, though employees are likely to lose their jobs as a result, according to Jason Schreier, which is just in the weeds right now, covering all this shit and is putting out some great YouTube videos. But it's crazy to think about that either way, whether or not they get shuttered or bought out, people will be losing their jobs, which is like a crazy thing to think about. Employees at several studios have been informed of the situation and given permission to seek new work, but were told that the status of the studios is still in flux. Who's hiring? Everyone, again, we go through this every time. Who's hiring? Because everyone is laying people off. And this is also crazy because Ninja Theory just put out the Senua game trailer at the showcase just days before. Why allow them to do the showcase if they're just gonna? Because they said in this one, this follow-up here, Jordan Midler VGC. This is the last Xbox story, by the way. They had already planned the closure when they announced Senua at the showcase. By the time the game was revealed, Microsoft had already planned to sunset or split with the studio. The thinking was that the promise of a newly announced game would help draw investor interest in the studio. The report states that it's currently unknown if anyone at Ninja Theory was even involved in the plan. So basically, the reason for them showcasing wasn't to be like, hey, look at this cool game that Xbox is showing. Was more that, hey, we plan on getting rid of this studio. Here is something that they're doing if you're interested in buying them. It's crazy. Compulsion, South of Midnight, Double Fine, which just released Kiln, that pottery game. Completely forgot about it, but looks really cool. Make some peepees out of the pots and have them fight and color them and stuff like that. It looked like a really fun game. The potential studio closures, part of expected widespread cuts at Microsoft. We talked about this, yada, yada, yada. So this is where we're at. This is where we're at. We're doing a full reset, apparently. And according to Jason Schreier, who has been in the weeds, like I said, on this, like covering everything, he said it's only going to get worse. He's saying he's hearing things that aren't good and that it's going to get worse from here. So hopefully he's wrong, but he very seldomly is. But that's it for all the regular news. Like I said, not a lot of great stuff, but there is one shining light in the darkness, one dev dub. And this is from Eurogamer. Victoria Phillips Kennedy. Rockstar thought they could control the narrative. They're wrong. Tribunal rules against GTA 6 developers' request to remove unions blacklisting claims from ongoing legal dispute. What does that mean? This means Rockstar went in and they said, "Hey, we don't want this to go forward because it wasn't blacklisting people." But the tribunal specifically said, "No, we're not doing that." And the case can move forward. Where does it say here? Today's rejection means every one of the union's allegations against the studio relating to union busting are able to proceed to trial, with the trial set to begin on September 10th and run for a month till October 15th. So this is a great W for those workers that got fired, and a big L for Rockstar union busting, which I guess it's both a dev dub and a dev L because the developer studio got the L, but the developers themselves got the W. So it's net positive, I say, for the people, not so much for fuck the company. Let's go get those people their jobs back or compensation. But that is it for news for this week. Thank you all again for hanging out during the live news. If you chatted in the chat, if you commented on the YouTube video, if you even watched the YouTube video, thank you so much. Here are the links: YouTube, Twitter, Discord, TikTok. That's going to be it until next week, where we do more news. Hopefully, less bad news, but I don't think it's going to be less bad. Until next time.